coming to self-acceptance at a young age is, I think, crucial to avoiding years of
Sure, it's very positive,
yeah.
very positive, and really it's wonderful that we see more and more of that, and it warms my heart because things are improving in that. It always scares me when I hear things like that because I know that some.
Right. My first reaction is, what if the parents
don't accept them?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's getting less and less common, but it still happens, and it is a scary time for anybody. And my heart goes out to this person. It's a scary time. It's tough. It's something that eventually you have to do.
I do think the advice about the GSA and PFLAG are sound. I was thinking about the PFLAG too before you said it,
and we have a local chapter of that.
Meets at
Barbara Alton.
Barbara Alton meets at the Noink Baptist Church. I think it's the third. Crud, I forgot.
Yeah.
I think it's the third Monday of the month. But
and we can certainly get that information to anybody that needs it. They can just contact us.
Or you can go to pflag.org.
pflag.org,
and that'll give you information about your local chapters too.
Yeah. Great organization, and Barbara has been on our show many times, and we've had a lot.
She's awesome.
Had her. She's wonderful, and it's a great organization that is out there to help friends and families of
LGBT folk,
people like us, and
not just friends and family. It would be a great place for, in this case, our 15-year-old friend to go, because he'd get to talk to parents that have had this dropped on them.
Yes.
And find out, sort of what works, what didn't work. Obviously, everyone's going to be different, but I think what I've heard from, we had Kathy Duggan on.
Yes, which was wonderful.
She was wonderful.
Her
son
like
was, I think, 15 when he told her that he was gay.
Yeah.
And
yes, and she handled it very well, and she was wonderful. But talking to somebody like that would probably be a great thing to do, just to get sort of some perspective on it.
And approach matters.
Yeah.
Walking in the front door with your boyfriend in arm one day may not be the best approach.
Right. Yeah. But it can be done, and it's one of those things. It's something that we all go through.
And it harkens back to a couple of our callers that have asked, what's the importance of coming out? Well, in this case, this kid is in, he's distressed.
Yeah.
He wants to come out to his parents. He doesn't want to hide from them. He doesn't want to lie to them. He wants to be honest with his parents.
Live as the person he is.
Yeah.
It's your duty to yourself.
Yes. And it's so important for the ability to be happy. That hiding and living that lie.
And hiding is miserable.
It is miserable.
I decided when I was going to transition, I had hid for years, and it was awful.
Yeah.
And I made the conscious decision that once I came out, I wasn't going to hide the other direction.
Right.
Because that just goes back to the misery and the fear and everything else.
Yeah.
If you're trying to live in deep stealth so that nobody ever knows you're trans, you're still hiding.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody can make the decision for themselves, but I agree with you.
Right.
That's another form of hiding. Now you're trying to hide who you were from people instead of who you want to be from people.
Yeah.
And who you want to be doesn't have a paper trail.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel shame about the person I am.
Yeah.
What I've been through has made me who I am.
Absolutely.
And by living visibly, is there a possibility that will help someone else who's going through a great deal of pain? And I hope so. And if so, it's worth it.
Yeah, that is our hope. And I think that there's some reality to that. I think we've changed some people's minds. I believe we have. I really do. I think that
I know I work with a bunch of great people that may not have had the same opinion now that they had 4 years ago.
it's hard. It is truly hard. you know, I mean, it's real easy when you don't know anybody to sort of
Yes.
have this hate and sort of, you know, I don't want anything to do with them. But when there's somebody that you know that turns out to be in this community and it turns out to be one of them, it makes it really hard to hate. It makes it much more difficult to hate somebody once
Right.
one of them
And
turns out
even-
to be in your family or a friend or
Right.
something.
Even if it's not something as strong as hate, just common ridicule, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, I think, how some jokes at work just aren't funny to people anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
It's interesting. It really is.
And for that matter, I think that same notion extends to a lot of different groups. You look at like developmentally challenged kids or kids with autism, and there are a lot of jokes, a lot of language around that people throw around, and it's hurtful. And you don't really realize it until, you know, your brother or sister or your son or daughter or your friend,
Yeah.
you know, is in that situation. There's a lot of groups of people out there like that.
Yeah.
You just don't understand how not funny the joke is
Right.
until
Yeah.
until you know someone.
That's right. You don't realize how hurtful it is. Yeah, that is absolutely true. But the stealth thing is interesting. I've actually, I'm not sure why exactly, but I've been thinking a lot about that lately. And because I think we all sort of went through a period, and I did, where, you know, there are stages in this thing. There are steps, and you basically start at the beginning.
It's a very good place to start.
And you move through this, and you know, the beginning obviously being self-acceptance, but beyond that, you're sort of looking at this sort of, you know, okay, where's my life going to go? How is this all going to work? And there was a time when I sort of, I envisioned going deep stealth. I did. I thought, okay, you know, I'll go through all these procedures, and then I will disappear into female society, and nobody will know. And of course, I very quickly changed my mind about that. But it's interesting that when I look at that now and I think about that, and I think I've thought about this a lot recently, and I'm not sure why exactly, but it's like, what if I had? What would it be like to be living deep stealth? And I realized that it would be very, very difficult for me. And the first time that I saw something in the news or saw something on TV or read something having to do with somebody that was transsexual, and I had to bite. The first time I had to bite my tongue, it's like, I'm not sure I could do it. You know, and
Right.
I'm not sure that I could live that life.
Well, I had a pretty complicated sort of reasoning that I went through. It was sort of an emotional evolution that I went through as well when I started thinking about personal responsibility. Now, when we transition, nobody ever starts out passing.
Right.
There's always this awkward phase where you're sort of learning. I think in 99% of the time, we seek out others like us, and we draw support for the community. Now, if I disappear, how am I paying back that support that I got? I mean, everybody gets to make their own decision. I don't necessarily respect it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of places, you can choose not to recycle. I don't respect that decision either. That being a butthole isn't technically illegal
Sure.
doesn't make it okay.
Sure. You know, yeah. Of course, you can slash the rainforests, but that's not nearly as bad as us. We are more hurtful to the. I'm kidding. I'm kidding now. This harkens, and I don't want to go back.
Of course you do.
This harkens.
Harkens back to the comment made from one of the officials in Rome
Yes.
that
Was
allowing people to quote unquote choose their own gender was more hurtful to the human condition than the
Slashing the
clear cutting of
rainforests.
rainforests are to the ecology of the planet.
Yeah, I know, and it's just funny. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not sure why that popped into my head, but anyway, you never know what's going to pop into my head. But yeah, it's interesting, and my heart goes out to these people that when I think about this, the people that actually did go deep stealth, and I know that there are a lot of us that have done that just they transition and then they just fade away, and